We love this guy. He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
Donald Trump and Nicolas Maduro, very similar people. Maduro, dictator on day one when he assumed power in 2013. Donald Trump says he wants to be a dictator on day one. They use the same tactics. What's unfolding right now in Venezuela after Nicolas Maduro lost big to Venezuela's opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez, but now Maduro claims that he won fraudulently, and he's doing the whole Trump thing. This shows why we can never let a dictator ever take power in the United States of America, ever. Let me just give you a little bit of background of what's happening in Venezuela. After Chavez died, Maduro took power, ruled by decree, assumed the powers of a dictator, of an autocrat. Quality of life in Venezuela has suffered. The people in Venezuela have been trying to remove Maduro. He's been holding on with an iron fist. There was an election that just took place. All of the exit polls showed Maduro losing by like 30 to 40 points. It wasn't even close. Then all of the state-run media in Venezuela proclaimed that Maduro was the winner. Maduro claimed that he won and that he's not going to hand down any power. He's not going to transition out. He claims he's the winner. You can actually see when some of the people in his regime were posting photos, you can see even in the background on the monitors that the exit polls were showing Maduro was losing. That's also how sloppy and brazen they were. Maduro also sent his army thugs to be there when people were voting, to intimidate them, to try to stop people from voting, all of the things that Donald Trump said that he was going to do. Let me share with you, though, some of these similarities as well. Maduro said that if he did not win, there would be a bloodbath and a civil war. Play the clip.
Que Venezuela caiga en un baño de sangre, en una guerra civil fratricida, producto de los fascistas. Garanticemos el más grande éxito, la más grande victoria de la historia electoral de nuestro pueblo.
Donald Trump has said if he does not win, there will be a bloodbath and bad things will happen. Here's what Trump said. Play the clip.
And you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine.
They use the same language of autocrats. They use the same language of authoritarians because, again, they are very, very similar. Here's what Donald Trump said as recently as this past weekend, basically threatening the country that if he doesn't win, bad things are going to happen. Here, play the clip.
You don't hear those words anymore. We used to talk about the American dream. A lot of you people are in the American dream, but you're going to be crushed if you don't elect me. I hate to tell you. You don't elect me, you're going to be crushed. You're going to say, Alice, what a mistake it was. We went for a person who has no talent. She's been a failure at almost everything she's done instead of Trump. And look at us now. We're going to move into an extremely small house from our beautiful house.
And here's Donald Trump saying it one more time, again, from just this past weekend. Play the clip.
For you, because the SEC has been very, very tough on you. And now they see that you've embraced me. All of a sudden, people that were under investigation, they're being let go. They're saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that. We love crypto. Let me tell you, if they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious. They will be ruthless. They will do things that you wouldn't believe. But right now, because of me, they're leaving you alone. So please say thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much.
Now, Maduro praises Vladimir Putin the same way Donald Trump does. Vladimir Putin gives Maduro a ton of support, and one of Putin's interests in Venezuela is to destabilize the United States of America by manipulating and creating situations in Venezuela to lead to migratory flows that ultimately create internal issues here in the United States. That's part of the way that Putin tries to interfere with the United States, create horrible situations in Venezuela, propping up a strong man, empowering the strong man to stay in power, make people's lives terrible, have Maduro cheat in these elections, people lose hope, they become asylum seekers, and then there becomes a massive immigration issue. But here's what Maduro had to say about Vladimir Putin. Play the clip.
Desde Campo de Carabobo, cuna de la libertad suramericana, todo nuestro abrazo de solidaridad y apoyo al presidente de la Federación Rusa, al compañero Vladimir Putin, que ha sabido enfrentar un intento de traición, un intento de guerra civil y está a esta hora, a esta altura, victorioso con Rusia en paz. Desde Venezuela, todo nuestro apoyo al presidente Vladimir Putin, hermano de Venezuela.
Praising Vladimir Putin. Here's what Donald Trump said recently about Putin as well. Play the clip.
Never happened. Russia was not going to attack Ukraine. As soon as I got out, they started to form along the lines. And I thought that Putin maybe will. He's a good negotiator. I thought he was going to be doing that for negotiation purposes. Then all of a sudden they attacked. And I said, what's going on here?
And here's Donald Trump praising Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping as being on top of their game. Let me show you this clip. Play it.
Xi of China, when you see Kim Jong-un of North Korea, when you see Putin and you see all of these people, they're at the top of their game, whether you like it or not. And they can't believe that this has happened to the United States.
Now, as recently as the past 72 hours, Donald Trump said that this will be the last election if he wins. He will fix elections so that people will no longer even vote. Donald Trump says, where do you think he's getting this from? He's getting it from Maduro. He's getting it from Putin. He's getting it from Kim Jong-un, people of that ilk who he looks up to. This is what Donald Trump said in the past 72 hours. This should be A1 front page news, but you don't see it on the front page anywhere other than here on the MeidasTouch network. Play this clip.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
And look, you can see the people in Venezuela. They want freedom. They want Maduro gone. They want Maduro out. But you have a situation there where he's also being propped up by Putin. Now, Donald Trump says he wants to be a dictator on day one. Here he is saying it.
We love this guy. He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one.
By the way, Trump frequently says he wants to be a dictator on day one. Here he is saying it again. Play the clip.
When Sean Hannity the other night, I did a town hall. He's a good guy, too. He is a good guy. But he said, okay, because he wanted to, you're not going to be a dictator. Is that, you're not? I said, no, Sean, I'm going to be a dictator. I said that. Right. These guys know it better than I do. I'm going to be a dictator for one day.
Do you want a better way to simplify finance operations for your business across expenses, vendors, payments, and accounting? If so, Ramp could be a complete game changer for you like it was for our small business. Ramp gives finance teams unprecedented control and insight into company spend. With Ramp, you're able to issue cards to every employee with limits and restrictions and automate expense reports so you can stop wasting time at the end of every month. Ramp's accounting software automatically collects receipts and categorizes your expenses in real time so you don't have to. You'll never have to chase down a receipt again, and your employees will no longer spend hours submitting expense reports. The time you'll save each month, and I can vouch for this, on employee expenses will allow you to close your books 8 times faster. Ramp saves you money. Businesses that use Ramp save an average of 5% the first year. Ramp is easy to use. All of those true for us at MeidasTouch. Get started, issue virtual and physical cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes, whether you have 5 employees or 5,000. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Meidas. MEIDAS. That's ramp, ramp.com/Meidas, ramp.com/Meidas. Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Selton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Even Sean Hannity called Donald Trump on the show, tried to get Trump to say, no, I'm just saying that in jest. And Trump refused to take it back. Here, play this clip.
You said, I would be dictator for the day and just to secure the border and drill for oil. I thought it was tongue-in-cheek. I was sitting there with you. However, my question is a very serious one. You know, people are claiming you want retribution. People are claiming you want what has happened to you done to Democrats. Would you do that ever?
Look, what's happened to me has never happened in this country before. And it has to stop because...
Wait a minute. I want to hear that again. It has to stop.
Well, it does have to stop because we're not going to have a country
And if you're
anymore.
elected, what does that mean? Define that.
Look, what I've gone through, nobody's ever gone through. I'm a very legitimate person. I built a great business. Everything's been, I have been under siege. Nobody's ever seen anything like this in this country. Now, in other countries,
Also, that language of threats and civil war, the most recent J.D. Vance, or Shady Vance, campaign event featured this guest speaker. This was the individual state senator from Ohio who introduced J.D. Vance, and he threatened, just like Maduro did, civil war. Here, play this clip.
Fight! 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 We got time. Come on. Hey! We are in the fight for the soul of our nation. We are in a fight for our kids and our grandkids, a fight that we can never imagine. I believe wholeheartedly Donald Trump and Butler County's J.D. Vance are the last chance to save our country politically. I'm afraid if we lose this one, it's going to take a civil war to save the country, and it will be saved. It's the greatest experiment in the history of mankind. And if we come down to a civil war, I'm glad we got people like Schmitty and the Bikers for Trump on our side.
Here's an interview from a few months back where Donald Trump claimed that American elections are not free and fair. And when Trump says this, when he spreads these lies about our elections here, when he undermines the integrity of our democracy, it gives license to the autocrats, like the Maduros abroad, to engage in the chicanery and the fraud in their elections. And America, which should always be a moral authority on elections, has that eroded when Trump and the MAGAs do what they've done. Here's what Trump has said. Play the clip.
And you have a country that's funneled millions to the Biden family that's going to meddle in this election to your disadvantage. I mean, that won't be a big story. Not that we're surprised.
well,
What do you do about China?
I think that will happen.
Yeah.
I think we have to swamp them. And I think right now we are. If you look at the polls, we're beating them so badly. But we have to swamp them. China will be involved. Others will be involved too. Our elections are very unsafe. Yeah. They're not free. They're not free and fair. There's so much evidence. There's so much proof. We have it all. Nobody wants to hear about it. But if we don't have free and fair elections and strong borders, we don't have a country.
Well,
By the way, the election that Donald Trump and these MAGAs whine about, it wasn't close. We're in 2024 and they're whining about the 2020 election. That wasn't even a close race. President Biden destroyed Donald Trump in the Electoral College, beat Donald Trump by millions and millions of votes as well in the popular vote. It wasn't close. There were so many states that Donald Trump lost. Trump lost all of his legal challenges. It wasn't a close call. Like, we're not talking about the 2000 election of Al Gore and George W. Bush, where it was 400 votes and they were hanging chads. We're talking about massive amounts of votes. And even like the things that Donald Trump cites, like, oh, have you watched the movie The Mules, or whatever the thing is called? That company issued a retraction. Fox was sued for like $1 billion. They had to settle for like $800 million for lying about this stuff. Judge after judge denied Donald Trump, yet these MAGAs have eroded the integrity of our election. Here, Donald Trump, this was at the Republican National Convention. This was, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Trump said that he would consider holding the next Republican National Convention in Venezuela, he says. He said he would do it in Venezuela because Trump says crime is down there. Here, play this clip.
Really a dangerous place, but not anymore. Because in Venezuela, crime is down 72%. In fact, if they would ever win this election, I hate to even say that, we will have our next Republican convention in Venezuela because it will be safe. Our cities will be so unsafe, we won't be able. We will not be able to have it there. In El Salvador, murders are down by 70%. Why are they down?
And then Trump's been giving interviews as well about how crime's been dropping in Venezuela. And then Trump's asked, like, where are you getting your stats from? And Trump's like, oh, Maduro. I'm getting it from Maduro. Here, play this clip.
Dude, one stat before we go. Venezuela was very crime-ridden. They announced the other day 72% reduction in crime in the last year. You know why? They moved all their criminals from Venezuela right into the good old USA. And Biden let them do it. It's a disgrace.
But, sir, where are those numbers coming from?
I guess I get them from the papers. In this case, I think it's a federal statement, or, well, they're coming actually from Venezuela. They're coming from Venezuela.
We'll have to check on that. But
I want to show you this clip right here. This is the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is a guy who's devoted his life to the military, who, by the way, Trump threatened to execute. Chairman Milley, a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And you may be new to the network, so you may be saying, hey, Ben, you know, Donald Trump threatened to execute the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He did. It's undisputed. Corporate media doesn't talk about that. Trump posted about it. He put it in writing. I'll just put it up right here, where he says that the conduct engaged in by Milley in other errors would be subject to treason and the penalty would be death. That's threatening Milley's life. Here's what the outgoing chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Milley, said about dictators in the United States of America. Play this clip.
To a country. We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that is America, and we're willing to die to protect it. Every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Guardian, and Coast Guardsman, each of us commits our very life to protect and defend that document, regardless of personal price.
And if I can, I want to read what the Human Rights Foundation has to say. The Human Rights Foundation condemns the fraudulent election results in Venezuela and calls for Nicolas Maduro to step down. The Human Rights Foundation strongly condemns the Venezuelan authority regime's recently announced and patently fraudulent election results, giving dictator Nicolas Maduro a victory with 51.2% of the national vote. HRF considers the results announced by the Maduro-controlled National Electoral Council patently fraudulent because they directly contradict the exit poll numbers documented by the unified Democratic opposition led by the illegally disqualified candidate Maria Corina and her replacement, the unity candidate Edmundo Gonzalez, which gave the Democratic opposition candidate victory with 70% of the national vote. The numbers published by the Machado and Gonzalez camp, based on their member scrutiny of all voting centers, are largely consistent with the exit poll analysis carried out by the experienced New Jersey-based polling firm Edison Research, which has been deemed the most credible source by Wall Street Journal's South America bureau chief, and gave the opposition a projected win with 65% of the vote. Quote, in a predictable yet outrageous move, the 25-year-old regime's electoral mouthpiece has once announced fraudulent election results, falsely claiming that the dictatorship has won. This blatant attempt to legitimize a rigged outcome is a slap in the face to the Venezuelan people and shows the degree of shamelessness the dictatorship will reach in order to maintain its illegitimate grip on power. That's the status of where we're at right now, but I wanted to show you those similarities right there because I think that it is striking and it deserves serious attention, serious scrutiny, and we have to contextualize it appropriately. We'll keep you posted with more updates here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.